Bears fans? Another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Courtney Cronin here at Hallis, reacting and predicting to what we heard from the coaches today, and also what we've got coming up against the Carolina Panthers team that the teams are falling before our feet. We should beat this team.
The opportunity these next couple of weeks up at home wins, and that's a big streak for them. That's something that, in terms of protect your house, like if you play well at home, like use that to get a lot of wins. That's what they need to do. They did it against Tennessee. They did it against Rams. Now you have another team that is not a very good team. You've got to be able to stack these wins when you can before the schedule starts to get hard after they come back.
So we got to see what's it going to take to get that done. I heard some interesting things from Eric Washington and Shane Waldron today that I think we got to talk about on the pod today. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Interesting day up here today, Courtney. A lot of pieces today with the NFLPA and everything being up here. But talking with Shane Waldron about this offense, we always talk about Wednesday's the day where you they've moved on from what has happened and they're moving forward. But I thought it was very interesting what Shane Waldron said the focal point of this team going into this Panthers game. When I asked him about the slow starts in the first half and then going into the second half, I mean, that's been something we've seen every week with this Bears on the same page in the first half. And he talked about a lot of the pre-snap mistakes that the team continues to make. And I know every practice, it's magically fixed. I don't know if you guys have heard this from the coaches, but heading into this Panthers game, what do you want to see in that first half, just as far as cleaning things up?
Well, you want to see the operation look better than it does in the first half. And that's, it's we don't know exactly how many plays that Shane Waldron has scripted. Usually for most teams, it's 15 to 20. Yeah. And it makes you wonder they just not work out early on at that time of the game.
Scared me.
Are they not great plays? There's a lot of reasons why the team has started out slow that are not necessarily indicative of scheme, but so much of this is the stuff that's happening pre-snap. And when you think about, even last game, we were 4 weeks into this, and you're seeing out of an injury timeout when Tevin Jenkins is being tended to for his ribs injury, they had an extended period of time to regroup. Obviously, Nate Davis comes in, Matt Pryor kicks over to left guard, and then I believe, wasn't it Darnell Wright? The penalty right then there. So we had all that extra time to get locked in. And I don't know, maybe the extra time was a detriment to what the Bears were doing there. But it's just seeing stuff that happens, like the Texans game, coming out of timeouts, guys jumping off sides, or a false start. And it's happened now up front a couple of times, and it puts you in an unfavorable down and distance. But those are areas that they said they keep harping on, because if you can fix those things and come out a little bit faster, you can build a lead. I mean, they want to play the game with the lead, with a rookie quarterback. I think that's of critical importance. Now, Matt Eberflus said it's not, the end all be all, but I do think it helps you if he's not having to play from behind. And, that only happened for a portion of Sunday's game against the Rams before the Bears ended up taking the lead and holding it and then being able to preserve it. But against a team like Carolina that has gone through so much change, a lot of injuries, especially on the defensive side of the ball, their best pass rusher isn't playing because, he was hurt early in the season. They've got two new linebackers this week because of injuries elsewhere. This should be an opportunity to jump out on a team, to establish dominance from the very beginning and not have 3 or 4 drives where the operation doesn't look good. And you're in the boos from the crowd at the home crowd at Soldier Field. That's not going to make you feel great as an offense when it feels like can't you just get it together from the very jump and look clean out there instead of having to take so long, seemingly, to try to get on the same page.
I thought people, and I'm when I watch the tape, I don't see it. But what I keep hearing is, what do you have? The offensive line, did we watch it? Braxton Jones is still in the wrong direction. Coleman Shelton's getting flipped over. Other guys, right? But the mistakes, the moments that are shooting your see Caleb Williams be able to get into a rhythm. I thought some of the execution on the outside was really good as well. Keenan Allen getting involved in some blocking and DJ Moore blocking, right? And seeing those things, like those are the things to me. If you shore up the pre-snap penalties, it changes the dynamic of what you get into the physical contact part of the game starting there. So, like, to me, going into Carolina, I think that establishing the run should still be something the Bears will be able to do, especially with, what is Carolina, 32nd, I believe, in the NFL, right?
They're
28th.
like averaging 149 rushing yards allowed per game. Four teams in that area. The Rams, they got to win over them. The Indianapolis Colts, they didn't. This is a chance to like jump out on a team that you have. It's not like a perceived weakness; it's a known weakness.
Yeah.
Teams can run on you if you're playing the Carolina Panthers. So, watching what DeAndre Swift did last week, find consistency on a week-to-week basis. So, it's just like a spike in the radar, and then it goes back and is leveled off, and the rushing offense isn't very good. Like, this can be your week where you continue to take that 86, 87 yards that are average a game and extend that number further. Maybe getting, others involved in that too. I thought it was smart after what we saw, how they were going to utilize DeAndre Swift. It wasn't like a complete departure from that. They did get Roschon Johnson in certain situations. Certainly he was the short yard line back that Khalil Herbert was the week before. But like, building it, you don't have to overcomplicate it. Like, I understand that like the Panthers are probably thinking, they're probably thinking they could run on us because doesn't mean that you like need to like play 3D chess with yourself and say, okay, well, sticking to your principles and what works for the offense, getting DeAndre Swift out in space, giving Caleb Williams, was working at the line of scrimmage, to be able to get the ball out as quickly as he did. It worked. The checkdowns, the underneath stuff, like, and try to mirror what you can do, what you did against the Los Angeles Rams and what you could do against the Carolina Panthers, but try to do it a little bit sooner than the third quarter, which is what we've seen the last couple of weeks.
No, 100%. And what I thought was interesting was, like this week, what was different was that we saw more of the checkdowns. We saw more passes. I thought Shane, it was interesting when we heard from Shane where he's like, we draw up a deep pass, but it's okay for you not to take the shot. And we have to explain that to the guys, right? The shot is there. That doesn't mean you have to take it. Sometimes you got to take what the defense is giving you underneath. I thought that was very interesting because it seems like that clicked in that second half. There were a couple shots taken early on. It ends up being nothing. But early on in weeks 1 and weeks 2, right? That's where, or week 2 and week 3, that's where the interceptions come from.
Sure.
The shot is there. I got to take the shot. The shot doesn't end up working out. You're throwing it to double coverage to Roma Dunze. He doesn't catch it. Should have caught it. He doesn't catch it. Now all of a sudden the ball's going the other way and that shoots you in the foot. Again, it's just small things like that to me speak to Caleb Williams learning, understanding the team that he has. Dare I say Shane Waldron, understanding the offensive line that he's dealing with, and adjusting your.
Caleb really spoke about like the underneath stuff in a pretty self-aware manner that like, I guess the misconception that he felt people had about him in college was that he refused to take the check, trying to extend plays and go into hero mode to overcompensate for the issues along the offensive line, which there are plenty of at USC. And he's looking through 4 weeks that he can't get away with some of the same things that he did at the college level in the NFL. That means it's okay it might not be the check down, but hey, if it gets you a first down, go for it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to make everything this grandiose splash play, the big play hunting that sometimes quarterbacks get themselves into. That can also get you into trouble if you're trying to fit a ball into too tight of a window that, as we've heard from Hard Knocks from the very beginning, those windows close faster in the NFL. And Caleb's learning that. He's learning in real time. I think that, a guy like that 1-2 weeks ago against the Colts, he learned that that's a window that, you're right, he probably should have caught that.
Yeah.
Should have
caught that. Not probably.
Like,
he should have caught it. It only hit him in the hands and the face. It was impressive that he did.
I mean, same thing with the touchdown pass, which was different circumstance.
Right.
Same thing with touchdown pass. A lot of that is those near misses. Like, what do you need to do to like tip that in the favor?
Yes.
Okay, those are what you connect on. Those are the plays that don't become a negative play for you and then put you behind the sticks and have you playing catch up, whether it's on the scoreboard or straight up and down in distance, that you just don't really have much of a chance to get yourself on the field.
Oh yeah, and I think that's what to me, like, that's where what Shane Waldron said comes in most, right? The pre-snap issues, all of the things that put you in a bad light to where, or in a bad position to where, now we can't even run that play. That probably does work if we're able to execute that pre-snap. With now we can't run the things that Caleb is comfortable with. Because when I look at the second half of that Rams game, it didn't look to me like Shane Waldron called a different game.
No,
It
it felt very similar.
I was like, it just works now. I understand as Bears fans, like, I know screening's bad. Almost every single
throwing them to, and are you doing them in a very obvious and predictable situation?
We can't stop the tight end screen, so I need no more of those. I don't understand the love for those.
Yeah, and I think that DeAndre's factor there.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they needed him to do because they were using their receivers in blocking roles to be able, because they knew just the way that, like, they were lining up, that Caleb had to get the ball out quickly. So find him the outlet. Don't leave him hanging out to dry where he's going to be successful, and have somebody, in the 27-yard run that Swift had. The thing that those plays have in common, whether it's, run or pass, the line of scrimmage.
Right.
It wasn't a slow developing play. It was something that happened right away. And I thought that was a sign of growth 4 weeks in, that they weren't. Sounds simple in theory, but for whatever reason, it takes a long time to, like, get that efficient with it.
See this from the Bears. Of course, kill the pre-snap stuff, but take the simple stuff, especially against a team like Carolina. Take the things that they are. I mean, they're going to give you so much, and more than likely, Carolina to this and says, okay, you think you can run on us? We're going to put 8 in the box. You're not going to be able to run on us.
Sure.
We're going to make sure that we play up. Take whatever that's giving you as well. And we've seen that growth out of Caleb Williams through 4 weeks. It's what has me feeling like, behind tore to shreds, except for Braxton Jones. Somebody's got to basically tore so line to shreds, said, these are the 5 worst players on your team. And Caleb Williams still looked the best. Again, to me, it gets me excited for where the quarterback position is going on this team. And, this is another week, another get-right week. This is a week where I want to see.
I mean, that's what's next. Like, when you think about, like, his development, and is there going to be a concerted effort to try to get the downfield passing attack going? Yeah. You and I have talked about it. The numbers just are not there. 1 of 4 for 22 yards on passes of 15 or more yards against the Rams. I think he's 4 of 21 or 22 on those passes this season. And of course, first half on some of those. What was the play that, like, Romadoon say? Like, when he's like, he was running like a route over the middle of the field, and he, like, kind of, like, jumps up and language.
Oh, was it the cross?
Yes.
Where they were crossing? Yeah.
It was like he was like, you could just tell from took a check down, which, it's not to say that you can't take things like that, though, being able to identify the deep shots that you can start, category after those, but not big play hunting about today. It's the next step in his development. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be a 1 week thing to be like, if you see it, like, oh, he's got it now.
I think that's
especially when you're having him go through as many progressions as he goes through. Like, what do we talk about with Jaden Daniels? How the concepts within that offense. And I thought Dan Orlovsky did a really good job yesterday on NFL Live. Did you see that breakdown?
Yeah.
Like, how they were in a little bit of 11, but they plays. Or excuse me, like 8 or 9, maybe 7, 8 or 9 plays. And they scored on that. And so much of that has to do with, what are you asking Jaden Daniels to do in that situation? I don't think you're having him go through 4 or 5 progressions on every. But that can be something that translates to what Caleb can start to be really good at, to be able to of those opportunities downfield.
Yeah, no, and I think the other thing, if anything. And you've kind of seen Shane is scheming things where Caleb's comfortable at. You've seen the routes be more intermediate and right at 0 to or that 10 to 19 yard range, and then the 0 to 9 yard
Sure.
range. But we're not seeing a lot of those deep routes, and I think that does play into your offensive line
Yeah,
can't allow
if
those
they
deep
can't
routes to
can't
develop.
block, then you're in a tough situation as a quarterback.
Exactly.
If the pass protection's like right on top of you by the time the ball's snapped,
Yeah.
you've got to get it out.
The play you're talking about, but you also see Braxton kind of getting crushed on that left side. And I got to make a quick decision. You're also dealing with a quarterback that's been battered through 4 weeks. So his decision-making being quick is probably going to be, if I don't do this, I get hit again. We get a sack. We're going the wrong direction. I got to get this ball out fast. I think there's so many factors at play, but this is a week, again, with Carolina. It feels like you should be able to get right. They're down. I mean, I don't think DJ Wonnum's played a down for them at this point at all.
Their D-line's hurt.
Yeah.
We mentioned the 2 new linebackers. Their safety, their secondary is J.C. Horn, I guess, is probably their healthiest player, their best player.
Wild to say. Yeah, probably. Yeah, you should beat this team. You should be able to move the football down the field on this team, and it is the pre-snap stuff. It is the the different things that they've shot themselves in the foot with. It was 9 penalties for 76 yards. Up the other side, lead a 5-star view. Y'all know what to do. We have to talk to Coach Washington, and about. I think you were one that asked him about the struggle, and he was gushing over Chuba Hubbard. He was like, "This kid runs forward, he runs downhill, and he runs hard."
He can catch some passes too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got like 9 catches for like 7-something yards over the. Adam Thielen's on IR. Their receiving core is a little decimated right now, so they're trying just to generate yards with whoever they can. They just happen to have a good, very versatile back at that. But yeah, it felt like they feel like that is going to be what Carolina tries to do to them to expose what I guess is a perceived weakness of the Bears. Now, we had an assignment the other day that was rankings that goes on Tuesday, and it's like, all right, what's the number one issue with your defense? And for a team like Minnesota, a team like the Jets, a team like defenses, it's hard to find something that's not like way in the weeds, because we know how good the Bears are, especially on third down. Look at the red zone defense. 1 of 4.
Yeah.
They're kind of a injured hot mess right now, but still Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
That's still like the guy who's like had like the all insane fourth quarter comeback the week before. Yet against the run, the Bears have been vulnerable in that sense. And sometimes you got to pare down the Bears to be like what actually was real. I know that the stat line will say Kyron Williams averaged 4.9 yards per carry, but like that in what situation, just like where there are a couple really big runs skew that number. I think that they're just trying to make sure that as they try to figure that part of the defense out, because they're number 1 rushing defense, it's largely the same personnel. It's figuring out, okay, well, what do we need to shore up here? Washington said like fundamentals, technique, all those things, making sure that like the space that you're responsible for because of like the gap system that they're in. I thought that there's a lot of insight in there that like shows, okay, maybe they're not all the way there yet, but it just doesn't feel like it's that far off.
No, and I thought I will say this: Kyron Williams was the first back out there that I was like, he's chopping us up. He's running well, even up the middle. Right, I thought he had some really nice plays. But like you look at Jonathan Taylor the week before, and I think that it didn't again.
Correct.
It felt like
he could have.
It felt like he could have, but
in that position.
But even in those moments of like where he got himself going, where he got the big runs, where he was able to kind of chop down the defense, it was all moments of like, dang it, do it to the other team. All right, we're back out there. All right, we get the ball back. We stopped the fourth or the third down. We're off the field. Dang it, all start. We gotta go back out on this or encroachment. We got to go back out on the field. And in those moments, you see Jonathan Taylor really get some of those bigger runs, kind of gashing those guys. So I think that I haven't felt like the run
I don't either.
But I have felt like when they have to go out there maybe in a quicker situation, that is their weakness. When
Like it's not a death sentence for them, right? It's not like they're any of the teams that they face the first 4 weeks of the season. Like we mentioned, first 5 weeks of the season, 3 of the bottom 4 run defenses. Like the Bears are nowhere near that. It's a middle of the pack sort of thing. I think they're 17th right now.
Yeah.
It's just an area that I think that they can be better. And when you do have a featured back like Chuba Hubbard, who for so much of what they're doing offensively and kind of the stability within this quarterback change. And you're going from, Bryce naturally better, like an actual offense with a veteran quarterback who can execute it, but still leaning on that one guy to try to generate yards. And I feel like for the Bears, if they're eyeing, they're eyeing top 5 status. It feels like they're there. NFL, they've got to figure out that part. And I just don't know that like they're all the way there yet because, like you said, Kyron Williams, there were moments in that Rams game where it did feel like, okay, this guy could, change the tone of this very quickly. But as Eric Washington said on that last drive, Taylor him again inside their own 10-yard line with that 35-yard punt, and what they were able to do from a run defense standpoint, that felt like touch they put there to like leave nothing in doubt at that moment, more than just, okay, you can from that respect, but it didn't rip open the game, and they were still able to preserve a 6-point lead.
Yeah. No. When I look at even with, I guess, if there are concerns in the run game, I do wonder if maybe the run game has taken a bit of a step back because the role we've seen Andrew Billings take on is a different one as a pass rusher. Very interesting article, top 32 pass Billings is 16th on that list. He is a top 20 pass rusher in the NFL right now. It's something that we had never seen really in his game. Not to say that you weren't asking him to do it, but he was a run stuffer.
Yeah. And
so you change the role that you have him in. You change kind of what his consistent. Hasn't quite a sack yet, but he's top 5 in pass rush win rate among defensive interior players. Is to go out and try and get to the quarterback. Maybe that takes you a little bit of a step back on the run games and the rundowns and things like that.
Yeah, and there's a push and a pull with it. Like they're not in a dire situation to get fixed. No. It's nitpicking, but it's if for a defense high standard set, you can understand why you don't want that to get exposed. If like he's on paper, they should beat Carolina. They're a favorite in this game. I think that our FPI ESPN gives them like a 60-something% chance to win. But like if you allow one area to get exposed and get broken open, which would be the run game with Chuba Hubbard, then that like just doesn't leave you feeling great about it. But like the defense has kept them in every single game this year. I mean, the red zone defense last week is no slouch whatsoever. Just because the Rams are like not great, that doesn't mean that 1 for 4 and holding them to like, they're chasing field goal. That's a really good feeling, I think, for this team as they get through the first half of the season, knowing that you can always lean on that unit because they're always going to keep you in games. Play out. Because you have defense that's doing their job and pinning teams back and being able to get after quarterbacks with their pass rush, a unit that we had all these questions about and now we don't.
And that's
crazy.
That's the funniest part about it. It's literally Javon Dexter is top, I think, 30 in pass rush win rate. Andrew Billings is top 15. Montez Sweat is a monster. You know what I mean?
And they're lining up Darrell Taylor on the same side as him and getting a lot of effectiveness.
I love the runaway from that question as well from Eric Washington.
It's a scheme thing because it's something that clearly they want to continue to do. Who has inside-outside flexibility like that. However they're going to align those two, putting them on the same side was a smart – whoever's call that was a smart call.
Yeah. there's so much about this and I know people have mixed feelings on Flus. Listen, I was the guy last season who was like, you probably need a new head coach in here. But as a DC, you'd be hard pressed to find 3 better in the NFL right now than what Flus is doing. If whatever this defensive unit is already star talented, and it feels like you've got a play caller at the helm. How many times can we say that schemed Sean McVay? And that's really what it felt like on Sunday. And I get it. You could say there's no Cooper Kupp. There's also not a lot of red zone points on this Bears team, and they've played 4 different football teams.
Yeah.
Like, even in Houston, they weren't
that was
like it feels real. And I think that Andy Dalton, especially seeing as how Jalen Johnson has played against Andy Dalton. He got experience against him. He knows what's coming.
Yeah, and it's obviously the right decision for to have Andy Dalton as their quarterback.
Yes.
It calms like the tenor of the offense down to where you don't have somebody who's running for his life or somebody who just really is so overmatched the way that Bryce Young was in his time as a Carolina Panther quarterback. I don't think we'll see him mouthless ever again as a Carolina Panthers quarterback.
I agree with you. I think there's a trade coming.
Like, just because, maybe if there's an injury, of course, but the right move was made, and Dalton's been, I don't know what to make of that Raiders game. I feel like the Raiders didn't show up that day. It was the day that, like, Antonio Pierce is saying, like, a lot of guys took business decisions.
Was that about Devontae Adams now?
Might have. Guys liking his tweets about him being traded or whatever, so it very well could have been. And apparently, he's not playing this week because he has a hamstring injury.
That's exactly what it is.
So, but I look at that game, that the Panthers are like, "Whoa, where did this team come from?" I think that was more of a Raiders thing than like, "Oh, the Panthers are actually good now. They have Andy Dalton at quarterback." Much, much, much better than Cincinnati. And Cincinnati really had no issue closing out, preserving the lead and closing out the Carolina Panthers. I don't feel like it'll be any different this week.
The one thing that I will say, if it's, dare I say, just because we're talking about it, there's any has looked profoundly better without Bryce Young out there. Bryce Young is in a no-win situation with the team that he had, but the team looks better without him out there. Was Bryce Young the only problem here in Carolina?
No.
You're still building some things, and you got injury, but that's football when you're on a rebuilding team.
And I know that what like Eric Washington today talked about is how great their offensive line is.
Chuba Hubbard looked bad with Bryce Young. Like, how'd that happen?
I do think the quarterback was a big problem.
Yeah.
But I also think that they still have deficiencies. In that O-line, they've paid guys, but it's not. Quarterback was a big reason. It's not like it's looked that much better.
Yeah. It's the matchup that I'm going to be watching for in this game is Xavier Legette probably up against Tyreek Stevenson. Big body wide receiver. All of a sudden, he seems like he's unlocked. Bryce Young had no connection with him. Andy Dalton seems like he's got enough of a connection. I think that, and we've seen it, right? Whenever an offense wants to pick on somebody, they don't look at Jalen Johnson. They look Tyreek Stevenson's way. I want to see how that matchup is going to play out. I think that's going to be the fun one of the day.
Yeah, I do too. I think that's consistent one way. Now, one thing that kind of stems from what we heard DJ Moore and Caleb Williams talk about during the week, like, how do those two get on a more consistent, like, I hate using like get on the same page. It's such a cliche thing to say, but when they're talking about missing a touchdown throw, even though it was still the first half, but it would have given you a much bigger cushion. They connect on the one in the end zone in the third quarter. Like, how are they going to start getting DJ more involved? Shane Waldron alluded to this today too. You want to have your best player, him. You want to get double-digit targets just yet. So it's like, when does that come into play to where he can take over a game? This that up from a year ago where he should be able to take advantage of a 10-target game and turn that into a very good-looking stat line for himself, but that would help the offense too.
And here's Bears fans. It's so concerning to me, the usage of DJ Moore, because I don't know if you saw this. I saw it first, and then I went and looked at the ESPN Plus stats and stuff like that, where they show you the completed routes, and they show Jackson Smith and Jigba's numbers with Shane Waldron and what he's done with all of a sudden this kid's unlocked. And they show DJ Moore's route read numbers without Shane Waldron and with him, and it looks exactly like Jackson Smith and Jigba with Shane Waldron. It is something I'm concerned about because the Chicago Bears seem to be the only team in the entire NFL that goes, we feel like, and again, DJ Moore is a number one wide receiver. Like, he's so underrated, it is disrespectful at some points. But the Bears' utilization of him is just, hey, DJ, if we see you, we see you. It's not, we got to get DJ the ball. And that is a problem to me. And it feels like it's been the problem since DJ's gotten here.
Yeah. And if they view that as like, that's to the benefit of our rookie quarterback, like we're not trying to force something one way because like if it becomes obvious where Caleb's going in his progression. But from like just a realistic standpoint, get your best player the ball.
Yes.
Need to do. I mean, like it could be way more than it is.
You got him involved on a run play and the touchdown, and that's it. Those are his. I guess the post route, but outside of that, like you really didn't use them at all.
No, and Keenan Allen. I know it was like his first game coming back from the injury. You know, he was more involved in blocking.
Yeah.
And Rome Odunze had one catch. Like I don't know what to make of that through the first quarter of the season. Just like Rome's lack of usage, I feel like there could be more there too. But everything feels like it should start through DJ Moore, and that there should be a concerted effort to force the ball his way in certain situations, like especially against a team like this. They give up the second or third most passing yards in the NFL. Like it should be a multiple passing touchdown game for Caleb Williams.
This feels like an unlock game. This feels like I know you said it earlier, right? It's such a cliche, but this is a get on the same page game because I'm the defensive side that can stop DJ Moore. They're just he hasn't shown up on the injury report, at least to this point. We haven't gotten to days.
It's great for him.
So it means that he's feeling better. He's probably going to be more involved in the offense. There's nobody out there that can stop him. This is a game where we are going to be looking very closely at Caleb Williams to say, okay, now it's time for you to hit your receivers in the hands as they're in stride because beating their guys. They have. The receivers have been but for the most part, the receivers have been doing their jobs. They're beating their guys. They're getting open. Caleb, you got to start locking in with them. And I thought that it was interesting when we heard from Caleb yesterday, right? He said, DJ read the play one way, I read the play the other, and we just kind of that's where we got to lock in on.
Yeah, and I know people took it out of context when he's like, we're just going to do it Caleb's way.
Yeah.
Like, don't read into that.
Yeah, we doing DJ Moore hate out here? I saw that going around Twitter yesterday.
Strange, responses to that from Bears fans. I don't know why any fan base would alienate their best player like that and try to be like, oh, he's this, that, diva, whatever. When he's never been that his entire career.
Never been.
So I don't understand it, but DJ's very honest. We're back in a new system who's learning it, and there are these moments where it feels like, damn, that's a near miss. That could have been a touchdown. That could have been 7. That could have put us up. Feeling really good about ourselves going into the third quarter instead of then getting the lead. Then extending your lead when he hits Caleb hits him in the back of the end zone. But it doesn't mean his frustration. Damn, I wish more than that. I don't know why people are trying to make it such a big thing.
I first off, any DJ Moore slander would not be tolerated here. He's a phenomenal football player,
Sure.
and he's a young quarterback's best friend. It would help. But I think that goes more to play calling than anything else. But no, when I saw that yesterday, especially there was so much taken out of context be what was the answer they gave? I saw somebody tweeted it out. I don't remember who tweeted it out. But they're basically saying you got to know where you are in the route tree. I think I'm second or third.
Yeah.
You know, I hope he gets back to me.
Yeah, and then it's like, we'd have like a conversation if he didn't.
Yeah, we'd have a conversation, and everybody's just reading it, not watching it, not seeing the clip, not hearing the question I asked, and they're just like, "Oh, he got paid. Now he's a diva," and it was like, he's been paid a few times. He's got 10 years of his contract guaranteed.
I mean, you look at that like, oh my God, of course he has to hit him there. There's a linebacker.
Yes.
On him.
And
like, that's what he's trying to tell us. Like, dude, this is the best, most favorable matchup I'm going to get all day. Of course you have to hit me. And
the concern is that, and all this is all DJ said he was concerned about. I hope he sees this.
Yeah.
Why are you concerned about that? Because it's a rookie quarterback 4 games in, and you're with him. You don't know if he sees what you're seeing right now.
And a lot of quarterbacks usually get to their third progression.
Yes.
Like they're not schemed to do that. So he is being, so the way that these plays are designed, what DJ's trying to say is like, yeah, I hope he's able to get to me there because the timing of where they were, like, zone area, like he's getting, they send a blitz.
Yeah.
He's, basically he's got somebody like barreling down on him. He makes the throw. For a young quarterback, that's not exactly an easy play.
No. And it was a beautiful, I mean, like, he made a beautiful throw, and I just had to be an athlete.
Yeah. And he was. And it was a beautiful throw, beautiful catch. The whole sequence was perfect.
And those are the things, especially after the conversation they had earlier. Finish prediction on Sunday. You said a win. Score in yet?
So I know that they put up 24 last week. I think that's kind of a good sweet spot because we know scoring's down right now. I would say I'll go further than that. I'll say 26-17 Bears. As like they're playing at home, they're really good at home. If they can, if the issues that we talked about at the top of the show, the pre-snap stuff, everything that's kind of put them in some longer down and distances where they haven't been able to execute what they want, if those things go away, I think that you're scoring much sooner in the third quarter. I think that you're able to build a better lead early on in this game and utilize some of those plays that are on the script to get off to a hot start, the plays that you feel best about. So that being said, a 26-17 game means that the defense, once again, keeping an opponent below 20 points. It's a very good sign. And then additionally, the offense is continuing to find ways to become explosive. I know that they're not there yet, and equate them to being an explosive offense right now, but that's the next step for Caleb Williams. I think the closer you get to 30 points and doing that a game shows you that you're capable of doing that. You're capable of having a quarterback who can start to make that next step in his own personal progression as a quarterback of taking the checkdowns and starting to get some of those deep shots going.
Yeah. I listen, I'm there with you. I don't have as much faith in Carolina scoring more than one touchdown, so I'm going to go I think I had it 28-13. I think that this is going to be a Panthers team that Andy Dalton's a vet, right? He's savvy. Yeah. Everybody keeps saying this, but he's a vet. And that does make a difference there. I'm not sitting here telling you that he's not going to be able to move the football at all day. I think he gets a touchdown. I think that we will all panic. So I'm not going to lie. If he goes down and gets a touchdown, especially on the script, we're going to be like, oh, this may be trouble. But then I think that we see exactly what we saw in the Rams game. They get down to the red zone a couple times, kick a few field goals. You have to chase field goals, and they'll be chasing the lead the entire time. And I think that give me the Bears 28 points. I think this is a dominant day. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I know everybody's going to be, oh, Pat, you're such a homer. Yeah, it's the Panthers, though. There's no way they shouldn't be able to move the ball on this team. Although I guess I did say that about the Colts.
Yeah, no, I mean, but you're using logic and you're applying it to like what is their biggest weakness? What is the area you should be able to?
Panthers are both. Who did we interview from the Cardinals last season? Me and you. I think me and you.
It was a former player.
It was a former player.
I
can't remember his name. And I'm not meaning to be disrespectful. He played for the Falcons. Tight end. I know so much about him. I can't remember his name. He does play-by-play for the Cardinals. And he said one thing that stuck with me. It was like, how do the Bears beat the Cardinals? how do you want to beat the Cardinals? That's how I feel going into this Panthers game.
Yeah.
How do the Bears beat the Panthers? How do we want to beat the Panthers? So I think that Caleb Williams gets on track. That's a get-right game. We're going to have a lot of fun coming back talking about this because we're going to go, I know we're supposed to do that, but it's nice to see it.
Yeah, and it's again, if they're 4-2 by the time they go into their bye week, and we're not getting ahead of ourselves and like already chalking one up for a win against Jacksonville, but if you're looking at the schedule about games that you have to win, not that it's like a must win or like things are falling apart, but it's have to win to be able to get early wins in the season before things get hard, before you have, on the road at Washington against a really good offense right now against Jaden Daniels. Get your wins now before like it starts to become more of a pressure cooker to like, okay, are we going to actually be a playoff team? Are you hunting for like that 7th or 8th win by like week 11, week 12 when you're in the thick of your division play? Like just take your opportunities now and don't squander them.
And it's all fallen in your favor. I mean, early in the season, it's been
broke so nicely for them. It'd be for their sake if they don't take advantage.
Well, not even that, but then on top of it, right? No Puka, no
injuries,
Cooper Kupp. No, Carolina is absolutely devastated with injury. Week 2 was week 2 actually. You just played really well, but it wasn't enough turnovers. Week 1, you got Will Levis, right? Which seems to be a thing now. Stop doing it. Like I've never seen somebody go, please bench me. That's what Will Levis looks like 4 weeks into the season, right? But as you continue to go through the weeks, I mean, Jacksonville's banked up right now. Every team that you have pretty much until the Patriots, you're going, like, we've got the advantage.
Yeah.
You just got to take advantage. This Bears team ends up doing. Thank you to Courtney for coming. As always, hit that like button. We want to know from you guys as well in the comments below. What is your prediction for this Bears-Panthers game? Shout out to you guys for tuning in. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. For Courtney Cronin, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love. Peace.